O'Fallon Park Recreation Center. Missouri's Attorney General is asking tornado victims to remain vigilant for scam artists. Andrew Bailey tells MissouriNet bad actors prey on those who desperately need cleanup or construction repairs to their homes.
A lot of the times they'll contact individuals and the scammers will claim to be part of a government operation or government agency. And in fact, they're not.
Bailey says take the time to verify with the Secretary of State or the Better Business Bureau if a contractor is in good standing, and be sure to get a written contract of what's being fixed and how much it's supposed to cost you. A product recall to pass along. Schnucks says fresh ground beef purchased at the Butler Hill Road store in South St. Louis County on Tuesday, June 3rd, may include small pieces of plastic bag material. Return the product to that store for a full refund or exchange. Americans are sick of being asked to tip.
It really has gotten out of control.
Bankrate senior industry analyst Ted Rossman says the latest survey finds that nearly 2/3 of Americans have at least one negative view towards tipping.
Some of this is because of inflation and because obviously consumers feel like they're paying too much for things, but businesses are feeling squeezed as well. And many of them are reluctant to raise prices any more than they already have. So they've started to view tipping as a way to raise prices without officially raising prices. It's a way to funnel more money to their workers without having to foot the bill. So tipping has become kind of a hidden surcharge of sorts.
And at 6:06, let's get you a check of the traffic situation right now. Roger Brand is in the traffic center, keeping an eye on it. Roger?
Well, we're getting better, Michael, but we still have jams. In fact, I'm looking at one right now. I've been talking about downtown for a little while, and jams there. Westbound 70 on the brakes from the McKinley Bridge at Salisbury out to about Adelaide. I can see the left lane, almost the left two lanes are flooded. Westbound 70 just before Adelaide, so that's the reason for the jam there. There's a jam eastbound 70 east of St. Louis Avenue. That goes on to westbound 44 at the Poplar. Eastbound 44 still backed up. Jefferson past the Poplar. Westbound 64 west of 3rd Street to the Poplar's jam. By the way, eastbound 70 still on the brakes from Natural Bridge up to about Lucas Hunt. Southbound 170 is better, but Delmar down to the Parkway still a jam. The northbound jam is dissipated there. Eastbound 64 is still backed up east of Lindbergh through the Innerbelt. 270 both directions around Ladue still jammed. Southbound at Olive, northbound at 64. Then South 270 remains on the brakes, approaching Manchester down to 44. Southbound 141's been a mess. Still jammed just south of Carmen all the way down to Highway 44. Westbound 70A to 61. That's kind of backed up as well. And there's a short jam down south, northbound 55 between McNutt and the Joachim Creek. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Unsettled skies will be the rule throughout the evening and the overnight. Showers and a couple of thunderstorms, but nothing severe. 67 for the low. On Thursday, mostly cloudy. Spot showers, spot thunder showers. Very limited. Lots of dry time on Thursday, 83. But the atmosphere should pick up its pace again on Friday with showers and thunderstorms. Some could be severe on Friday, especially St. Louis South. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
We've got rainfall. It's 74 in St. Peters and Florissant, 75 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Well, this was unexpected this evening. We were hoping to have St. Louis Cardinals baseball for you, game 2 of a 3-game series against the Royals. Instead, rain throughout the evening, and they're going to play 2 coming up tomorrow, a split doubleheader. 12:45 is going to be the makeup game, and then 6:45 is the regularly scheduled game, which will be the series finale. So here we are with the Gray Bar Sports Open Line, and it's great to have you with us. What a weird day it's been. I always like to kind of lift up the folks here at KMOX who do the important work, especially when it comes to severe weather coverage. You know, listening to Michael Calhoun and Dave Murray and them doing what they were doing today. So it's very much a real world sort of thing. And maybe I shouldn't have done what I did today, but I did. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are in the exact same kind of spot that I was in. It was about 3:00 in the afternoon. Tornado sirens are going off. There was reports. I live in Chesterfield. There's a report of the Chesterfield tornado touched down in Chesterfield, and we had lots of damage. Like in my neighborhood after the last storm that came through, they didn't say that there was a tornado, but lots of trees and things that came down. And I got to get to the ballpark. I got stuff that I got to do, 3:30, 3:40 or so. So I hop in my car and I start driving down 40, and it is just terrible. And the entire time I am listening to Michael and I'm listening to Dave, and I'm listening to them go through where the system is at, where the rotation is at, where the heavy rain is, when it might be able to, get a little bit clearer. And they were spot on as always. Like I knew I was safe in terms of the tornado staying north of Highway 40. So that made me feel good. And then by the time I got to about Brentwood or so, I knew that the rain was going to let up in a pretty major way. What do you know? They were right. So it's good to be able to have that kind of resource in our community that when we need it, we've got it. And yeah, then getting to the ballpark, and I was it took a little bit longer to get in today, so I was a little bit later than I would have liked to have been. The clubhouse was already open. I was trying to collect the audio and everything that I normally do for the pregame show, and I was able to get that done. And by that time, I went back into our little studio at Busch Stadium, and I'm just about to start editing the audio and putting together everything that I need to put together for the pregame show. And we get a text message that says there's not going to be baseball today. And at that point, it's like 4:15, 4:20. And I know, okay, I got to get out of here. I got to get over to the station. We've got a full Redbird rush hour at 5 o'clock. So let's jump back up and get going and everything. So it has been a whirlwind day, to say the least. But all that being said, I'm glad that I'm here being able to talk a little sports with you, some Cardinals baseball with you here on a, what day is it? Is it Wednesday? Is it Tuesday? It's what day? I literally have no day. It is Wednesday. That's something I've said this before. When you work in baseball, you never know what day it is. It just feels like another day. I don't do as much weekend stuff, but having been somebody that previous to my time here, whether it was in minor league baseball, whether it was my time around the Brewers, it was an everyday thing. And the only thing that was really the differentiator that you always knew what day it was the Sunday day game. And yeah, there can be day games during the week, but those feel a little bit different. So I literally, until I looked it up on my computer 2 minutes ago, didn't know what day it was today, but it's Wednesday. So there you go. Happy Wednesday to you. We got a lot coming up on the program today. Coming up in about 9 minutes or so, we're going to talk with our friend Joe Roderick. He's part of the team over at Sports Hub STL. We'll talk some Cardinals with him. We'll see what else we get into. Always have fun conversations with Joe. So he's going to be coming up in just a little while. 6:35, we are going to be joined by Jake Zivin. He's going to be on the call this upcoming weekend as City SC looks for their second straight win. It was we really didn't get, we haven't had many opportunities to talk because the Cardinals have been playing these, night games all week. And we had a really, really busy show on Monday. But man, it was really good to see City SC pick up a victory this past weekend against San Jose, and now they are going to be on Sunday Night Soccer coming up this week as they go to Portland. So we'll talk with Jake about that, and then our friend Ryan Fagan, also part of the team at Sports Hub STL, just like Joe Roderick, he is going to join us at 7:20, and we'll talk Cardinals baseball with him. I just saw Ryan in the clubhouse a few hours ago. He was doing what I was doing, and now there's no baseball, so we will get him on Sports Open Line tonight. As always, if you want to chime in on the program, you've got multiple ways to do so. You can call or text the phone number 314-436-7900. That's 314-436-7900. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or you can leave a chat message if you are watching us on the video stream. We are streaming, as always, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, wherever you might be watching us. If you can leave a comment in the chat, we will get that and we will address that as we go along. So I thought, not to pat myself on the back and not to pat Kevin on the back. I'd rather pat Kevin on the back than myself. But I thought Redbird Rush Hour today, we hit on a lot of interesting things when it comes to this team. Cardinals, obviously, because taking a step back, where they're at from a record standpoint, it's fine. Where they're at from a standing standpoint, it's fine. What they're doing here, not over the last 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, whatever it is, that's not great. But in the grand scheme of things, if you take a step back, it's still very good right now for the St. Louis Cardinals. When you take that step forward, you see a Rangers series where they gave up a ton of runs twice, and then a game yesterday against Kansas City that they should not have lost, that they should have found a way to protect the 7-2 lead. You have games like that over 162 games. They're bummer games. I can tell you, like, that last night was as much of a bummer game as we've had this season. I was not happy with the way things went down, and felt like that was one where the Cardinals should have walked away with a victory, and it simply did not happen. And then you start to look at some of the things that are going on, and all season long, for the most part, starting pitching has been really good, and it's been really good kind of in a unique type of way, like we talked about on Redbird Rush Hour. Not a lot of swing and miss. You have a little bit of it with Sonny Gray. You have a little bit of it with Matthew Liberatore. And you don't have a whole lot of it with anybody else at this point. And generally, that's not overly sustainable for really good teams, but to the Cardinals' credit, and Oliver Marmol's talked about this a fair amount lately. He talked about this on the Gas House Gang on Tuesday. This team, and he and Dusty Blake and everybody else who's part of the baseball operation, they looked at the situation, said, okay, there's not a lot of swing and miss. How do we make guys the best version of themselves if they're not going to strike guys out? And from a control standpoint and other things, they've been able to get the most out of these non-strikeout pitchers. But you ask the question, is it a sustainable thing? Can you keep winning games with that type of staff? We'll find out. The other side of it is the bullpen. And man, it has been a wave. It's been a roller coaster when it comes to the bullpen this year, because it's been not good. And then basically at every moment this year, the bullpen has either been performing like one of the best bullpens in baseball or like one of the worst bullpens in baseball. And it's just, they've been riding it. And when they were winning all those games and we were seeing the emergence of Kyle Leahy into what he was doing, and Steven Matz was so good. And now those guys have taken a little bit of a step back here recently. How much of that is just kind of a regression to the mean where they weren't going to be carrying sub-2 ERAs? There's got to be a correction in there versus whether there's actually something to be concerned about. Yeah, well, I'd like to give you an answer on that. I really can't. I believe in those guys, but Kyle Leahy doesn't have a long-term track record, and Steven Matz doesn't have a track record of the bullpen. I think both these guys are going to be pretty good pitchers out of the bullpen this year and continue to contribute, but it's certainly something that we need to continue to keep an eye on. All right, Joe Roderick's going to join us in just a moment or so. Don't go anywhere as we roll on. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.
It's been more than 60 years since St. Louis was hit by a tornado of the scale we're witnessing. The Salvation Army has been in St. Louis providing relief for over 160 years and responded immediately following the latest round of storms. How can you help? The Salvation Army needs monetary donations so that needs can be addressed immediately. And as we look to long-term recovery, 100% of donations go directly to storm survivors. Donate at salarmy.us/mid-disaster or call 1-800-SAL-ARMY.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, my name is Christina Straight, the owner of Straight Realty, and I'm asking you, what do you want in a realtor? Do you want experience? I've been a broker for over 21 years. Do you want to know how much I've sold? I've sold over $500 million, yes, $1 billion with a B, in sales. Do you want value? I now list properties for only 2%. So, if you're looking for all these things and want the best, then call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Get so munch more with the new T-Pain Munchie Meal at Jack in the Box, including your choice of burger or chicken tater melt, plus curly fries, a taco, drink, and new stuffed cookie. Auto-tune not included.
You asked, we delivered. KMOX, now on FM. Crystal clear sound at 104.1 FM.
Back at it on a Gray Bar Sports Open line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley, taking you till 8 o'clock tonight. And if you're just tuning in, thinking that you're going to hear John Rooney and Ricky Horton broadcast Cardinals baseball, sorry to disappoint, but we don't have Cardinals baseball tonight. Instead, we have Sports Open line because the Cardinals game was postponed, and they'll play a doubleheader coming up tomorrow. Right now, very happy to welcome on to the program. He's a friend of the program. He's part of the team over at Sports Hub STL. He is Joe Roderick. Joe, always good to talk to you. How are you?
Same with you, Matt. I wish I was at Busch Stadium with you right now, but alas, the phone will have to do.
I think you have become one of our OS. We have a full 2-hour show tonight. Let's call Joe because he'll come on.
if I ever turn you down, Matt, that I don't know what to tell you. I mean, call the police or something because there's something up with that if that's the case.
You know, I say that in the most lovingly way possible. By the way, as that's coming out.
No, I love coming. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you promoting what we're doing at Sports Hub STL, and I love talking baseball with you. So
there you go.
It's wins all around.
This team's playing really good baseball for the most part over the last month. This past week, couple games against Texas where they give up a bunch of runs, a bummer of a loss yesterday. I feel like almost in 162 games, you're not supposed to be living and dying with every single game. But with this Cardinals team where there was very little belief and then a little bit more belief, and now some people are taking a step back, it just seems like every day is resetting the barometric pressure of where this team is at.
Yeah, and it's weird because we're in June now, and we've been talking about this team a lot since February, and the way that we talk about this team is so different. We're into the third month of the season now, and we're still bringing up the fact that, back at the start of spring training, back in February, if we would have been living and dying on this team, you would have thought we were crazy if we were talking to you about it. We thought this was going to be such a wasted summer, such a boring summer. We were happy the Blues went on that run they did to get into the playoffs because they're like, yeah, they better go on a big run because they're going to need to save the summer because the Cardinals are going to suck. And they haven't. They've been fun to watch. They've played. I think they've exceeded all expectations more than probably any team in all of baseball. And I would much rather get mad at a Cardinal loss in early June than sit there and just look at my phone around 9:30 and go, oh, they're losing again. No, I'm locked in on all of these. And last night's loss, it got to me. It's one of I think that today, I think Schaefer and Stefan were saying that it's the worst loss of the season. And I mean, that's maybe a little extreme, but when the Cardinals are scoring runs, when they score 7 runs, you expect them to win these days.
Yeah, and more specifically, when they score 7 runs and they're up 7-2. And look, they did all of it against Michael Lorenzen. Basically, the Royals started putting some bullpen guys out. Something I haven't talked about a lot that I've been thinking about: the Brant Brown is so good at putting together game plans for opposing starting pitchers. I do wonder, if they have this game plan in mind, then you get to the bullpen, if it takes a moment or so. Like, I don't know. It's those things that pop in my mind, and I don't know if it's real or not, but it was a stark difference yesterday between facing Lorenzen and every other bullpen pitcher that the Royals brought in.
And to take it a step further with the Brown preparation that he has, it seems like when they are facing aces, and I don't really consider Michael Lorenzen an ace. I know he was an all-star a couple years ago, but when they're facing the best of the best, they seem to be even more prepared against them. You've seen it against Paul Skeens. You saw it against the Phillies. Heck, they scored a run in the first inning off of Jacob deGrom when they faced him on Sunday. You see it appears as if they're like ready to go against these top pitchers, that he's able to find something with them, with the starting pitchers that gives him the edge for that. And that does kind of go against, a few years ago, you were just kind of itching to get into that bullpen of other teams because that they would go off on them. But that was, a lot more veteran players then too. I feel like that was maybe the case, when Pujols, Goldschmidt were kind of in the middle of that lineup. And yeah, you have seen them this year really kind of attacking those starting pitchers, those elite level starting pitchers too.
Yeah, there's something for young guys learning what it takes, not just to get through 162 games, but what it takes to, be able to get through 9 innings and get through 4 at bats and have that competitive edge every single at bat, every single day, every single week, every series, every month, so on and so forth. And it is still a relatively young team. And it's the first time in a while that, other than Arenado, who's not a big offensive contributor right now, there's not a lot of deep veterans on this team. So the core of this team right now is the Donovans, is the Nootbaars, the Herreras, and they've never been in a spot before where it's been on them to lead the way.
And with the technology the way it is too, you see a pitcher comes in, if they show a shot at the dugout, it's the next 3 batters kind of huddled around that tablet watching video of these pitchers. And maybe for a veteran, it's something they've gotten used to over the past few years. For a few of the guys you just mentioned there are 24 and younger. So some of these core members of the team this year, and this is all pretty new to them, to have that kind of technology at their fingertips, to have, to know how to watch it and to know how to, gather that information quickly and take it right up to the plate.
Last night was the first of what was scheduled to be 13 straight days. Obviously no game today because of a rainout, but now they got to do 11 straight days, starting with a doubleheader tomorrow, which doesn't put you in any better situation, even with getting a bullpen reset. We saw them push a starter in Palante maybe further than they would have. I'll be really curious to see if they do that sort of thing with Miles Michaelis. This next month, Joe, is going to be really interesting as they try to win today, like the proverbial today, but they also try not to lose tomorrow or lose the next day because of a move you make that night. Like, just playing all these games in a short amount of time with this team that's still relatively young, it's going to be interesting to watch the moves and the decisions that Oliver Marmol makes.
I think tomorrow's their 5th doubleheader of the year now, which ties how many doubleheaders they had all of last year. And I'll tell you what, I haven't had a chance to look into it yet, do the research yet for it. When did McGreevy pitch last? Do we know when he pitched last for Memphis?
Yesterday, but they pulled him out at like 70 pitches.
That doesn't do you any good tomorrow, though.
No, but it sounds there's some. I think John Denton put it out on Twitter. I'm of the belief that McGreevy is going to make at least 2 starts in the month of June. That either they're going to call him up, send him back down for 10 days, call him up again and get 2 starts, or they're just going to call him up and go with a 6-man rotation for the entire month of June, and he's just going to be here. Like, either way, I think McGreevy plays in June. And John Denton on Twitter today said that he thought that we would see McGreevy start on Sunday.
man, that does, if you could have predicted this weather, if you could have known it was going to be bad enough today to do that, to see if he would have gotten pushed or pulled yesterday and scratched before the game started and planned for that, I would have loved to see that. I am such a huge fan of what I've seen out of him. And it starts last year, everything he did in spring. He comes on here and shuts out the Mets. I want to see him be a part of this. I want to see him be a part of this rotation for the rest of the season. I don't know who you have to move out. I don't know if they trade Fetty to open a spot, trade Palante, because I kind of see this as you're not trading for extra arms. You're trading one of those starting pitchers to acquire Michael McGreevy in your rotation. And that's what I want to see down the stretch run, because for everything I've seen, I know he's young. I know that he is very young and very raw when it comes to the major leagues. I've said this many times. I think Michael McGreevy, from what we saw at spring training, from what we've seen in his last 5-6 outings in the big leagues, Michael McGreevy is a wild card round starter for this Cardinal pitching staff right now. That's how much I think of him, to where it's Sonny Gray, it's, I guess, Libator this year, and it's Michael McGreevy. That's who I'm going with for my 3-man rotation in the wild card round of the playoffs.
He is Joe Roderick, part of the team over at Sports Hub STL. They're doing post games after all games. What you do is you listen to my Cardinal post game show, and then you watch the Sports Hub one later in the the on replay. That's the way you need to work that one out. But whether it's Blues, whether it's City, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're doing a really fun thing now for the summer. We're counting up, I guess. We're going 0 to 99. The best St. Louis athlete, professional athlete, to wear every single jersey number 0 through 99. We just started it. We're having debates on some of the tougher choices with Bernie, with Randy Carricker, with Mike Claiborne. We were doing that. So we released our debate on number 2 the other day. We released our debate on number 7 earlier this afternoon. 5 and 6 were pretty easy choices, Matt. We didn't have to spend too much time deciding who the best St. Louis athletes were to wear number 4, number 5, number 6. There are some real easy ones out there, but then there's some that make it a little more difficult.
Yeah, and it was Bernie's all over with you guys, whether it's written content or video stuff. So obviously Bernie's here at KMOX as well. So it's fun to see the intermixing of everything that's going on. But Joe, appreciate the time. Appreciate you jumping on at the last second, and we'll talk to you again on a day where the Cardinals did not get rained out.
Absolutely. I don't know. I'll be sitting on my phone the next rain out waiting for your text. So we'll be good to go.
It's going to be a bit now where even if we get you on other days, we always have to get you on rain out days. I'm just saying it right now. That's the bit. We're going with it.
All for it, man.
All right. That's Joe Roderick, Sports Hub STL. Always appreciate him taking some time with us. When we return, we'll talk some City SC soccer. Jake Zivin's going to be on the call this upcoming weekend as they match up against Portland. Do they have a second straight win in them? We'll get Jake's thoughts coming up in just a moment as we roll on with the Gray Bar Sports Open line on KMOX.
Start your day with an edge.
Total Information AM.
It's like breakfast for your brain. I wake up, I turn on the news.
I got to listen 3 or 4 times every day.
Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman.
I like to wake up with the news.
Total Information AM.
It's where I get my news. Traffic conditions and potential weather that's coming.
If it's going to rain, I want to know.
Total Information AM. Weekdays 5 to 9.
I like to turn it on and just get caught up.
Where I get my news. The news, weather, and traffic.
On the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Selling your car online sounds easy. Snap a few pics, list a price, then what? Wait weeks? Haggle with strangers? At Suntrip Ford, we actually make it easy to sell your car. Visit Suntrip Ford Kirkwood or Westport, and our expert appraisers will give you a fast, fair offer on the spot. Or skip the trip and get an instant quote at suntripford.com. No guesswork, no games, just the best price. Visit suntripford.com today. Get more at Suntrip Ford.
Spring into a new home with amazing savings at TR Hughes. Hi, I'm Jason Hughes with TR Hughes Homes, and we are currently offering half off up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs on brand new to-be-built homes at select TR Hughes communities. That's right, half up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs. Visit trhughes.com for details.
The choice of a home builder is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
However, you really should visit trhughes.com.
The smartest way to do your homework is Heckman
Warm weather means homework for homeowners. And for 80 years, Hackman Lumber has been the trusted name for home improvement. If your homework means a new deck, turn to the deck experts at Hackman Lumber. Browse the largest inventory of decking materials and accessories in Missouri. Talk with our experts about treated lumber, cedar, TimberTech, Trex, Envision, Decorators, and Duralife to find the perfect deck for you. Choose from endless railings, balusters, and LED deck lighting options. Hackman Lumber has been serving homeowners and pros for 80 years, and they will not be undersold on in-stock decking materials guaranteed. Whether you DIY with their expert advice or need a trusted contractor, Hackman has you covered. They are now an authorized steel dealer. Plus, check out their expanded paint department, brushes, rollers, painter's tape, and 4 lines of premium interior and exterior paint with custom color matching available. Visit Hackman Lumber's newest remodeled stores in St. Peter's and Pacific or their showroom in Troy, Missouri.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit Truehold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I think we became the largest injury firm in the world, and it's not even close. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My wife and I had a plan early on. In our firm, our lawyers only work on certain types of cases. Our products liability and dangerous drug lawyers only work on those cases. Same for car crashes, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, and insurance disputes. Our thinking is for these lawyers to focus on one area of the law and live it and breathe it. Power comes from knowledge. Many lawyers do everything, jack of all trades. Not us, and we don't charge an hourly rate. You only pay us if we win. If you want to hire us, it's easy. Dial Pound Law on your cell phone, pound 529, or visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer from the comfort of your own home. Let us get to work for you. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Tomorrow, the Cards, the Royals.
It's a split doubleheader. First game, 12:45. The second at 6:45.
Cardinals Radio, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
I'll tell you what. So the Cardinals got rained out tonight, and we got an unexpected show. And whatever guest we happen to get on, they are saying yes in a very short amount of time. And we are very appreciative of all those people because not much lead time. And that includes Jake Zivin. He is the lead play-by-play broadcaster for MLS Season Pass. That means he's got the Sunday Night Soccer matchups in each week working alongside of Taylor Twellman. And he's got City coming up this weekend as they match up against Portland on Sunday night. And Jake Zivin joins us here on the program once again. Jake, always appreciate your time, and thank you for saying yes at a last-second nature of all this.
Matt, no problem. I grew up in Evanston, Illinois, a Cubs fan since the day I was born, so I'm happy to help out the Cardinals when they're rained out. And hey, the Cubs, because I can come and say the Cubs are in first place in the NL Central and in the entire National League as of right now.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk soccer in a second, but you brought it up. How, as a Cubs, because I mean, look, 38-22 is legit. And they're a half game in front of the Mets for the best record in the entire National League. How much do you believe in them, A, being this good, or B, being really good but not this good?
Yeah, look, I will say I am not nearly the game in and game out follower of the Chicago Cubs that was when I grew up and I listened to every game on the radio because I couldn't watch TV until I got my homework done. Pat Hughes and Ron Santo growing up. But, now from afar, and I live in Portland, Oregon, more casual, it's excitement for the first time since they kind of broke up the World Series winning team, right? So I'm excited. I don't think they're as good as that team, again, from afar, not watching every game, but paying a little attention. But, look, baseball's if you get into the playoffs, anything can happen in a way, right? I don't know if they're at the level of the Dodgers, but we'll see. It's fun for at least them to be where they're at right now. Again, given, how great it was when they won the World Series, and then kind of how tough it was for that team to be broken up.
I guess I didn't, and it's on your Twitter account, so I should know. I guess I didn't connect the dots that you're a Portland guy, so you get to sleep in your own bed. You got to love it when you got Portland home games.
Yeah, I do. And the past 2 years, we did a lot of games in Florida, and with Lionel Messi coming to enter Miami, in Ohio because the Crew in Cincinnati were great, in St. Louis because St. Louis City was so good their first year and the atmosphere is incredible. So I was flying from the West Coast to at least, either right to the Mississippi River or usually east of the Mississippi River for a lot of games. And now this year, our schedule on Sunday Night Soccer has actually been a little heavy West Coast, Western Conference. So Taylor Twellman can fly across the country because he lives in the Northeast. And he can come on this side, and he can make up for the past couple of years when I was flying that way most of the time.
I love the Sunday night soccer. Like I'm a dad, I've got 2 kids, so weekends get bunched up with a million things, and obviously there's baseball stuff going on. And I know there's Sunday night baseball, but there's something about being able to sit in my office at the end of a weekend, kind of getting ready for the week, and being able to turn on Sunday night soccer. I do it almost every week, so it's a nice thing that you guys have done. That Sunday night window, whether it's Sunday night football, NBC's going to be doing the Sunday night basketball this year. It's a really good window for live sports.
Man, that's great. It's great to hear that. And we've heard that a lot, all over, everywhere we go. People, I think, are watching, and they're enjoying, as you said, the ability to have kind of an appointment viewing game every Sunday night where they know they can settle in and they can watch what will hopefully be a really good game. So I'm glad you feel that way. That was certainly one of the big intentions behind the creation of Sunday Night Soccer this year. And I think a lot of people have similar feelings to you. So keep watching. Yeah, we love it, particularly, of course, when it's St. Louis City, as it will be this week.
Yeah, it's going to be match number 2 for David Critchley in the interim coaching role. Pretty good in game number 1 where they beat San Jose. They have the lead. They give up the late goal, which is something they've done a lot of. But what they haven't done a lot of is rebounding from that. And then they get their own late goal, and they win by a 2-1 score. How different did they look like to you in that game compared to what you saw leading up to that?
Yeah, they did look different, right? It felt like they were able to kind of have some of the restraints taken off of just the way that they play. And I think David Critchley wanted that, and that was by design. Look, it was winning a game is great, particularly in your first game with an interim manager. The first goal was a mistake from San Jose's goalkeeper, right? He didn't read the play right multiple times in maybe a 5-second span. But then the penalty, that was earned really well, taken really well, and it's a really, really good win given how the season has gone, given the coaching change. But beyond the result, it just felt different, even when the lineup came out, and we were used to at times this year, you'd see the starting 11 for St. Louis City, and we're looking like there's 5 guys in here that kind of play center back or have played center back. And then there's 3 defensive midfielders and just 2 attack-minded players. And it felt so defensive. And then this 11 comes out and there's just 1 center back in there. And Chris Durkin, a defensive midfielder, is playing center back. Now, certainly that's because of injuries and absences, but it just felt a little more opened up, a little more fresh, a little more energetic, which I think the team really need. It looked that way on the field, and sort of the advanced data stuff, points that way as well. And that's a good thing, I think. I think this team really needed it, and I'm sure they're going to continue that, week by week, and we'll see even more of that on Sunday in Portland.
Your broadcast partner, Taylor Twellman, is we claim him. He's a St. Louisan. He may not live here anymore,
of course.
He is passionate.
He claims you, yeah.
Yeah, he's very passionate about soccer in the city, and he's been he has not held back in his thoughts on some things that have happened, and it feels like a lot of the criticisms that he had about things that were happening under Olaf Melberg kind of got fixed very quickly in that matchup against San Jose.
Yeah, look, ever since we've been calling games together for the past now 2.5 years, and the second game, actually the first game we called together was St. Louis City's home opener, week 2 of 2023, because the game we were supposed to do on opening week was postponed because of weather in Los Angeles. So the first regular season game we ever called together was actually week 2 of that year, and it was that wonderful home opener. And he told me from the get-go about I knew about the history of soccer in St. Louis, but about kind of the standard of the game in St. Louis, right? And that this is an educated fan base. It's an educated city when it comes to the game, and they expect the game to be played a certain way. And he, of course, has been pretty vocal, I think, about that over the past 6 months, or the 3 months of the season, really, as it's been. And yeah, I get it. I like to watch the game a certain way as well. And if you're playing really defensive and kind of, almost safe, and you're winning, that's okay, right? But I think if you're going to play that style, you do have to win, especially in a city like St. Louis that knows the game well and wants to be entertained by the game. And so when you're not winning and you're not playing a particularly entertaining style of soccer, yeah, it's gonna be tough. So I do think that seemed to be changed, right, with this move. But we'll see. It's one game, right, and we'll see. And David Critchley is an interim manager. Interim managers have become full-time head coaches before, right? And especially when it's super unexpected. But I think whoever takes over full-time next, whether it be David Critchley or another outside hire, will probably be expected to set the tone with, a different style of play, one that's maybe a little more exciting and aggressive.
It's not going to be easy for them to be a postseason club. They are buried right now, and they have a ton of work to do. It's also not completely out of the realm of possibility that they get up into maybe one of those final 2 spots or something like that. It's possible, but that they have to win a bunch of games. Portland's a pretty good team. What does City need to do this weekend to have some success for a second straight week?
Yeah, first of all, when it comes to the playoffs, I don't think it's not going to be easy, but they're only 6 points out of a playoff spot, and they have a game in hand over several of the teams above them. They win that game, they're only 3 points out of a playoff spot halfway through the season. That's certainly doable if they can turn it around like they did at the end of last year. And maybe this move being made a little bit earlier in the year allows that to happen, because they were good the last, 8 regular season games of last year after Leagues Cup, but the hole was just a little too big to overcome, and they weren't quite good enough. They weren't undefeated, didn't win all of those last 8 games. But now there's enough of a runway, and it still looks very manageable. Not the 14, right, the second to last place, but when you look at the points, it does look manageable. Portland has been good this year, for sure. They are a team at home, particularly, that when they get going, they are really, really hard to stop. Portland and St. Louis are 2 of the best soccer cities in this country. Portland's history with the game goes back 50 years when the Timbers joined the NASL, and it took over the city. I mean, they became a phenomenon. Their games were sold out, lines around the block trying to get in, and it has remained that type of city for 50 years. So St. Louis City supporters that come in, they're traveling or that are watching, they'll see a similar environment as Energizer Park, an educated fan base, a demanding fan base, a raucous fan base. And at times when the Timbers get going at home, it can feel like that ball is kind of getting sucked into the goal by the Timbers Army, their supporter group. So St. Louis is going to have to, one, try to take that out of the game, right? Scoring first, important. And 2, I think being compact. The Timbers have shown when the game's open and stretched and they can get out and run and be in transition, they are as good as any team in this league. When their opponents stay a little more compact and sit back and defend, they struggle to break it down. Now, if you're listening, and what we just talked about, St. Louis City's switch in style from Olaf Melberg to now David Critchley, actually Olaf Melberg's style may have played a little bit better into the Timbers' weaknesses, which are breaking down a team that is sitting back, that's defending with numbers in the box. And David Critchley, I expect him to continue to try to be more aggressive. He has to. That's got to be what he's tasked with as an interim manager after this change. That might actually play into Portland's hands. but we'll see. I mean, I think that the important thing for St. Louis is going to be careful in transition with the Timbers, because when they get going and they have room and they get on a break, they can hit you just like that. And you think you're good, and then 5 seconds later, you're down 1-0. And they can do that as well as any team in this league.
Jake Zivin will be on the call this upcoming weekend for Apple TV MLS Season Pass. You don't need the MLS Season Pass for the Sunday Night Soccer. You do need the Apple TV subscription. But if you love yourself some Ted Lasso, so you got Apple TV as is, you're going to be able to watch on Sunday night. And we always encourage people to get the entire Season Pass package, because it's pretty amazing if you are an MLS fan, a soccer fan. Jake, always appreciate the time. Thank you for doing this last minute, and I'm sure we'll talk again down the line.
No problem, Matt. Absolutely. Enjoy the game on Sunday.
Very good. You too. That's Jake Zivin joining us here on the program. One more break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1 of the program. It's Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. Buying your brand new Buick or GMC has never been easier. Here at Suntrup Buick GMC, our family-owned and operated dealership has been proudly servicing St. Charles County for over 30 years by always providing aggressive pricing, a massive inventory selection, and exceptional customer service. Buying from Suntrup means you get the best vehicle at the best price. Visit Suntrup Buick GMC today, or visit us online at suntrupbuickgmc.com and save more at Suntrup Buick GMC.
Cash for Clunkers is back. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards a new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old entry door too. It's Cash for Clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free, in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better, because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Hey, it's Jeff at Sachs Financial. Over the last 15 years, we've been able to help our clients focus on the fundamentals and tune out the daily grind by putting a great retirement plan in place. If you don't have one, find out how to get started at retiresafestl.com.
Tom Ackerman here, joining Busey Bank in recognizing Ron Doherty for building community. President and CEO Ron Doherty has been strengthening our communities for 40 years. After merging Doherty Business Solutions with CGI, he launched Doherty Enterprises and Foundation, which supports the Alzheimer's Association, other worthy causes, and innovative solutions with millions of dollars annually. Follow Doherty Enterprises on LinkedIn to learn more.
This is Pat Buring, Executive Vice President of Busey Bank. The Doherty Foundation supports the Alzheimer's Association and other causes financially, while Doherty Enterprises uses AI and advanced technology to provide support and relief to patients and caregivers dealing with Alzheimer's and other dementia diseases. Follow their lead. That's what building community is all about. Join Busey. Get involved as we continue building the communities we call home.
Start your summer with a weekend showdown. Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers roll into Busch Stadium June 6th through the 8th. Be there Friday for a cool new promo, the first ever Cardinals neck fan, perfect for hot game days. Then on Sunday, young fans 15 and under take home a Rawlings Kids Glove. It's a weekend of big matchups and big giveaways. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Mason Wynn, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Loop.
The school year is finally over and it's summer vacation for all our teachers. Celebrate at Busch Stadium. Teachers Night presented by Millipore Sigma is back at the ballpark on Monday, June 9th. With the purchase of a special theme ticket, you can take home an exclusive teachers-inspired Cardinals jersey featuring the birds on a pencil. As a special treat, the first drink of the summer is on the Cardinals. That's Monday, June 9th. Teachers Night at the ballpark. For tickets and details, visit cardinals.com/theme.
This is Steven Matz, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Loop.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Back at it on KMOX, starting to wrap up hour number 1 of the program. We've got you till 8 o'clock tonight. Still one more guest to go, Ryan Fagan from Sports Hub STL. He's going to join us at about 7:20. We'll have an opportunity. I kind of treat this like the day game version of a Sports Open Line, where I always tell you during the extra inning show, we don't have time for phone calls and text messages and tweets because we got to get you to the Dave Glover show. But don't you worry. We'll have that available for you on Sports Open Line. Well, yeah, there was not a game today, but we will open up phone calls or open up the phone lines and everything. If you want to chat anything Cardinals related at 7:05 after the 7 o'clock news, we will give you that opportunity to do so. Yesterday was one of those games where, man, there was a lot of controversy. There was drama. Maybe controversy is too strong of a word, but there was drama. There was a lot of. I enjoyed it because I enjoyed the baseball conversation. What I don't enjoy is people not being like completely open-minded about things. You would have thought, based off some of the text messages I got yesterday and even some of the social media conversations that have continued on today, you would have thought that Oliver Marmol made the biggest bonehead decision in the history of baseball when he allowed Andre Palante to face off against Bobby Witt Jr. And I'll be the first to admit that, like, the optics of that moment of Witt being the guy who ends up beating you, like, the optics don't look good. But sometimes you gotta take a little bit of a deeper look at something and know what led up to it and everything else that's going around it, and see that there's a sound reason for the decisions that were made. If Palante would have been pulled before the Witt at bat and they would have brought in somebody else, would have I been upset about that? No, like, that was one of those things where I'm fine with whatever decision that's made, but the decision to stick with Palante made a lot of sense when you look at, he had retired 13 in a row. Yeah, he gives up the home run on a mislocation pitch, but even those, when you break down those hits leading up to the Bobby Witt hit, you had a soft contact one. You had two hits with low probabilities, hit probability. Like there weren't like these red flags just going up in the air that you got to get this guy out. By many measures, Palante should have been out of the inning already, if not for some bad luck on some of these hits. And you just would have thought that it was a terrible, terrible, terrible decision. And I would strongly push back on all of that. But we could talk through some of that a little bit more. We did that a fair amount on the extra inning show, but we could talk through what's going on with this Cardinals team. So we'll do that after the 7 o'clock news. Stick with us. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. You know, the doctors, or just the best doctors to see for your best vision in St. Louis. 314-966-5000. The doctors. They've treated more than 250 doctors. That's more than any other practice. Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Bersati, Dr. Andy Royer. 314-966-5000 is their phone number. 314-966-5000. Dr. Birdie, Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eye, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, LASIK surgery. The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, experts. Call for an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or visit them online, youridoc.com, 12990 Manchester Road, quarter-mile west of 270. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise, but the one thing we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies, 314-991-9005, or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial, Inc., an FFC-registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918615.
Spring is here. Time to have your valuable trees inspected by Gamma Tree to enhance the beauty and safety of your trees. I'm Tim Gamma.
I'm Tom Gamma. Don't trust your trees to just anyone. Call the pros at Gamma Tree, now in our 71st year.
Our talented staff of certified arborists can survey your trees to determine their needs, whether pruning, fertilizing, pest control, or removals at the highest level of professionalism.
Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. Call Gamma Tree today or visit us at gammatree.com.
Your trees deserve the best care.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley telling you about i3 Broadband. You've heard me talk about them. They provide the internet in my home. I love them so much. The reliability is great. Let's talk about price for a moment, though. They've got an introductory rate at $19.99 a month for one of their service options. No bundle ever required. You're going to save $10 a month over the cable company. They've got great pricing on all of their different packages, going up to 8 gigs upload and download speed, always mirrored. See if they're available in your neighborhood. Put your address in at i3broadband.com.
Winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, including Overall Excellence. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump has signed a proclamation banning travel from certain countries, an announcement that follows the Boulder, Colorado firebombing attack. While countries including Afghanistan, Burma, and Iran are on the list, Egypt is not. That is the Boulder, Colorado suspect's country. CBS's Matt Piper with the development on the suspect's family.
The federal judge has temporarily prevented the deportation of the wife and 5 children of Mohammed Solomon, the man arrested for an attack in Boulder, Colorado with Molotov cocktails that injured more than a dozen people. The family members have not been charged in the attack on a group demonstrating for the release of Israeli hostages in Gaza. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem announced just a day earlier that the suspect's family was being processed for removal proceedings.
Another vigil is being held in Boulder after Sunday's attack on a group showing support for Israeli hostages. Ed Victor told those earlier at a vigil that Sunday's group was peaceful.
Our goal through walking quietly is people notice us.
The Trump administration has 1 week to come up with a way to allow migrants sent to a notorious prison in El Salvador to challenge their deportations. Loyola Law School professor Lori Levinson with more on the demand by Judge James Boasberg.
Judge Boasberg's order says that indeed the American government is in constructive control of these Venezuelans, and that the government must find a way to let them raise their claims even if they're in El Salvador.
A man that feds believe helped a Palm Springs, California fertility clinic bomber has been arrested. The FBI's Akil Davis says of Daniel Park of Washington State.
We're able to confirm through our investigation that 6 packages of ammonium nitrate were shipped from Park in Seattle to Bartkus in 29 Palms.
Bartkus was killed and 4 other people were injured last month. Mifepristone, commonly referred to as the abortion pill, is going under the microscope. CBS's Alexander Tin.
We've heard calls specifically from Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley for the FDA to essentially review the safety of mifepristone again and potentially restrict it or pull it from the market altogether. Secretary Kennedy, head of Health and Human Services, committed to telling the FDA to do that. And now Hawley says he's received a letter from the FDA saying that they indeed are doing the review.
The U.S. vetoes a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate and unconditional ceasefire in Gaza. Just before the vote, Dorothy Camille Shea, U.S. ambassador to the UN, told diplomats,
"It is inexplicable that many members of this council still refuse to acknowledge that Hamas could end this conflict tomorrow by surrendering and laying down its arms."
Stocks closed mixed on Wall Street today. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 7:03, we've still got rain. It is 74 degrees downtown at the Arch. We're getting reports of damage from today's potential tornado in West County. No injuries reported. Our partners at Fox 2 report 6 homes have potentially been damaged in West County, and trees are down in Wildwood. The Cardinals have postponed tonight's game against the Royals because of the rain. That's why you're not hearing it on the radio right now. This means a split doubleheader tomorrow. The first game is at 12:45. The second is at 6:45.
I'm not going to let scammers defraud Missourians in our time of turmoil, and that's why it's so important that we remain vigilant.
Attorney General Andrew Bailey is asking any tornado victims who feel like they've been approached by some shady contractors to report those encounters. The best way is through the website. Bailey says he knows scam artists will be visiting St. Louis neighborhoods looking to make a quick buck. As we await word from the Missouri Legislature's special session where lawmakers are considering the funding package to keep the Chiefs and Royals in the state, a Kansas City Star sports writer has a gut feel about the process. Blair Kirchhoff told KMOX's Chris and Amy show.
The funding
nothing in Missouri passes, I think the Chiefs will renovate Arrowhead Stadium and continue to play there, and that the Royals will find a new home in downtown Kansas City.
Kirchhoff says the incentive package offered by the state of Kansas expires at the end of this month, so time is of the essence for Missouri. The U.S. Supreme Court agrees to hear a case challenging Illinois' mail-in voting law.
Republican U.S. Representative Mike Bost and a pair of Illinois primary delegates for President Donald Trump sued the Illinois State Board of Elections in 2022. They argued the state's law allowing mail-in ballots to be counted after Election Day violates the federal law establishing an election day. Both a lower federal trial court and federal appeals court have ruled that Bost lacked standing to sue. Capital News Illinois reports the Supreme Court said its ruling will focus on whether Bost has legal grounds to sue, not whether the state's mail-in voting law is legal. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
We've got a chance of some more showers as we go through the overnight hours. Nothing severe, says Dave Murray, with a low of 67. For tomorrow, a few showers, could have a storm, high 83. And for Friday, watch out for severe weather, especially in the city and points south. Friday's high 79. Right now, we've got rain and 74 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Rolling on an unexpected show tonight. Sometimes those are the best. We are taking you until 8 o'clock this evening. As always, if you want to join the program, you can do so. You can call, you can text, you can tweet, or you can leave a video chat message. If you call or text, the phone number is 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. If you tweet at me, it's at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or if you want to leave a video chat, you just, whether you're on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, just leave a comment in the chat and we will see that. This is, I need help. Sometimes I just don't make the right decisions. Sometimes I prioritize the wrong things. I am generally up very late at night, and I need to go to bed earlier. I need to do a better job of being disciplined and getting my butt in bed at a respectable hour. It doesn't happen. When you work in baseball, when you work in sports, you're just, everything is later in the day. And my normal going to bed time generally at its earliest is 3:30 in the morning. And a lot of times it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm getting ready to go to bed this morning / last night. And I see a Cardinals tweet about yesterday's game and the decision on when to take Palante out and all that sort of stuff. And obviously the thing to do in that situation, because it's flipping 4 o'clock in the morning, is to put my phone on the charger and get myself in bed and maybe look at that at a later time. What do? I literally go back to my computer. I bring up StatCast data and I start looking stuff up because I want to respond to this tweet. So I brought up the data on every single hit that occurred at the end of Palante's day leading up to that Witt hit. I was getting the hit probabilities and ground ball and for like all kinds of stuff. And I send out this long tweet going batter by batter, giving like data and everything. That's me. 4 o'clock in the morning, long day, tired as all you know what. And you know what? I'm gonna dive into some data and send out a tweet because I'm going to. So that's my I got problems sometimes, and that was one of my problems last night. But if you do want to talk about the Cardinals, have a little bit of time for it. You can call, you can text, you can tweet. Phone number is 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. Text or tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Leave that video chat like Steve did. And Steve sends a message that says, I think Marmol is doing the best he can with what he's got. The pitching is pretty thin. They need a couple more relievers that they can rely on and another starter. I agree with for sure the first part about that. Like we can't sit here and say, hey, this is a team that everybody thought was going to be terrible when the season got started, and then they haven't been terrible, and not give a fair amount of the credit for that to Oliver Marmol, right? Like that's if you really want to be fair about things, you do have to be fair about that part. I think the pitching is thin. I would argue, and we've talked about this a lot. When we on the Redbird Rush Hour, the profile of the pitching is the question here, because yesterday is the great example of why you need more swing and miss. And I get it. There's a lot of people listening to me right now that are sitting here saying, look, you like pitch to contact guys, you like ground ball guys. Like the game is aesthetically more pleasing when the game is played that way. I'm not even arguing that. But what happened yesterday is you can have some things that normally aren't hits that come up as a hit, to the point of that tweet that I sent out last night, and just going through everything that happened. And this is why I was perfectly fine with Andre Pallante staying in the game. When you break down everything that happened there in that fifth inning yesterday, Caglione grounds out to get the inning going. At that point, Pallante has retired 13 in a row. Zero reason to even consider the fact that maybe Pallante's going to start to wear down, or Pallante's going to start to be less effective. Then he gives up a home run to Lofton. If you look at the pitch, Pallante clearly misses his location. Bad pitch, terrible pitch, not a good pitch. Got a home run. You know what? That's baseball. That happens. So he retired 13 in a row, and then he gives up a home run. At that moment, there is still no reason whatsoever to be concerned about what's going on. Then Waters comes up. He gets a base hit that has an exit velo of less than 89 miles per hour that had a hit probability of 28%. Andre Pallante completely did his job in that spot. Pallante is somebody who works to the ground, and that is exactly what you want. A very low hit probability hit that just found its way through. That should have been the second out. Isbell then comes up to the plate, admittedly hits the ball hard. It was his hit was not one that was 88.6 miles per hour. I don't have the number in front of me, but it was a legit hard hit ball. But even that ball had just a 43% hit probability. So less than 50%, 43%. So if the numbers play out the way they should play out, the Waters hit should have been an out, the Isbell hit should have been an out, and the inning would be over. Still at this moment, there is no reason to be concerned about Pallante. He is doing exactly what you want him to do. He's going through he's getting his ground balls. They're all balls that should be outs. They just happen to find holes. Then India comes up and very legit hard hit single. Not going to spin. Not that I've been spinning, but not going to try to tell you that that's something other than just a legit hit. So other than the home run, which was a mislocation, the India hit is the first time that he really gives up the legit. Everything about this says it's going to be a hit. Give all the credit in the world to the hitter. There's no luck involved in this. So for the people who are complaining about last night, I just went through all of that. When are you getting the bullpen up? It's the first of 13 straight days of baseball. You can't be getting relief pitchers up and down and up and down. And Ali has said that in this period where they have to find ways to keep their bullpen as rested as possible, they are going to ask starting pitchers to maybe go a little bit deeper in games. That makes all the sense in the world. There's nothing outlandish about that. That is a very sound way of thinking. So going through everything that I just went through, hitter by hitter by hitter, where do you see the opportunity to get somebody up? And to me, the first time you really see that is the hard hit single off the bat of Jonathan India. And even the hit that Bobby Witt gets, that was just out of the reach of Mason Wynn. That had a solid hit probability. That was a hard hit ball, solid hit, all that sort of thing. But with where Wynn was set, he almost got to that. And the Isbell hit, he almost got to that as well. So Wynn almost got to two of those. The other one had a 28% hit probability. Like, there's just not this clear spot where, oh yeah, you got to get Palante out. And I had a lot of people on social media pushing back today on, well, you had to get Palante out because of who he's been over his last 5 or 6 starts. Well, if we're going to play that game, who's Steven Matz been recently? Who's Kyle Leahy been recently? And I really like these guys, and I think they are putting up fantastic numbers. But even they have taken a step back. Now, to be fair about things, that they haven't taken the same step back that Palante has. But Palante hasn't been per se bad. Over his last 6 starts going into yesterday, he had one really bad start. Had a bunch of kind of average, slightly above, slightly below average type games that when in aggregate, they turn into not so great numbers, but in its own thing, you don't really look at that hard. But I really push back on the people who were really upset about the way things went yesterday, because it's one of those where if you really break down what is happening in the moment, hitter by hitter by hitter, and knowing that you've got a lot of games in a row, knowing that you want to save the bullpen, knowing that you don't want to get relief pitchers up a lot without getting them into the game. You don't want to do that over and over. You're going to give starters a little bit more leash because of that. I don't have a problem with any decision that was made when it came to that yesterday. We will take a break, and we'll roll on here in just a moment. Ryan Fagan from Sports Hub STL, longtime baseball writer. He joins us coming up in just a moment. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
An important message from S&L Coins. S&L Coins pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver, silver plating, gold and silver bullion. Get a quote with a call to S&L at 544-3600. S&L Coins, 544-3600. Or visit S&L Coins at 9300 Gravois, just east of McKenzie. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call S&L, 544-3600.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup.
For over 30 years, St. Louis families have trusted Central Ford Westport and Central Ford Kirkwood as a proud, family-owned and operated dealership. We offer more than just great deals. We offer peace of mind. At Central Ford, you'll find a huge selection of inventory to choose from, unmatched customer service, and our exclusive lifetime powertrain protection program. Visit in-store or online at centralford.com. Save more at Central Ford. Visit centralford.com.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Wheeler. Struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain? Game Day Men's Health has you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more, all in a relaxed environment that's like being in the man cave. At Game Day, you get a free testosterone test and consultation all in just an hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with 3 area locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com and get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
KMOX is now on 104.1 FM, the same great station with even better sound.
It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Great to be with you today. A little bit of an unexpected show after a rain out today for the Cardinals. I was just talking to this guy in the Cardinals clubhouse a few hours ago. He made it out to the ballpark, and then they don't even play a game for him. He is Ryan Fagan. He continues to cover baseball, doing it at a lot of different places, including working with the folks at Sports Hub STL, and he's on Twitter at Ryan, Fagan. Ryan, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well, Matt. I was looking forward to hearing the crack of the bat a couple times tonight from the press box, but that didn't happen. But that's okay. That just means more baseball tomorrow, right?
Yeah, a lot of baseball tomorrow with a couple games to be played. It's never as good as it is at its best. It's never as bad as it is at its worst. But we've seen an extreme difference this year with the Cardinals when they have played seemingly their best baseball and have played their worst baseball. It's maybe still early to ask this, but who do you think who they really are is closer to, that really good version or the not so good version?
I think they're closer to the really good version. And again, that's not to say they're going to go 16-4 or something like they did not too long ago. But I think when you look at some of the losses that they've had, it's easy to look at the games they've played and said, okay, well, just don't make that simple mistake, right? Just play the tight defense that we've seen that they can do for long stretches. And I think, when you look at what makes teams successful, if it's a team that's got a lot of hitters and they're hitting very well, a good pitcher is going to stop that from time to time, and that's going to be a problem. But if it's a team that plays good defense, generally speaking, they will play good defense more than they do not play good defense. And, especially some of the games, 2 of the losses in Texas, the defense just wasn't there. And it wasn't like they weren't making great plays, right? It was just they didn't make some of their team plays that they've made the first 50 some odd games of the year. So you feel like that's something that can come back. I think the bigger question is the starting pitching going to continue to be as good as it is? And we've even seen, Herrera's come back to earth a little bit, but, it's not like it's impacted the way that they can win baseball games, because they have enough guys in that lineup who can do a little bit of damage and come up with big hits so they can survive, Ivan Herrera not being on a pace to hit 410 with 57 home runs in the year. And as long as they play that good defense, I think they'll be fine. I'm not sure they're going to be a team that's going to push for, 95 wins, but they're closer to a 95 win team than a 65 win team.
In 3 of their last 4 games, they've given up a lot of runs, 11-8 in their 2 losses against the Rangers. And then obviously the 10 runs that they gave up yesterday. You just mentioned starting pitching. It feels like there's a lot of question marks beyond Sonny Gray and Matthew Liberatore. There's not a lot of swing and miss. We saw that really beat up on Palante yesterday, where some ground balls turned into hits, and then that turns into the decisive inning. Is that just who this team is, and they've got to find a way to kind of work through it?
I think that's right. That is who it is, because you look at this rotation, and it's. Aside from Sonny Gray, it's not, and Liberatore to an extent, it's not a lineup that's going to go out there and average, 9-10 strikeouts per 9 innings. It's going to rely on defense. And when you are a pitcher who relies on putting the ball in play, that BABIP, the batting averages of balls in play, the BABIP monster is going to bite you from time to time. It's just how it is, and there's no way around that. the way to counteract that is, with good scouting reports and good defense and being in the right place and then making the play when the ball comes to you. But that only goes so far. There are times where it seems like every ground ball is going to find a hole and sneak into the outfield. That's kind of what happened to Palante yesterday. And that is absolutely going to happen from time to time. And there's no way around it. You set up and you have these players, you have these types of pitchers in the rotation, and they've got the type of not just defenders at home, but the type of ballpark that can allow you to still be successful with that. I think when you look at, this is a totally different conversation, but when you look at getting into the postseason, that's where you're a little more worried about not having swing and miss type guys in the rotation, because that's when everything is heightened and the better offenses are there. But over a course of a 162 game season, if you have guys who are going to put the ball in the strike zone, or, Michaelis's case, sometimes work out of the strike zone maybe a little bit more than he has in the past, and be willing to accept a couple of walks if you get guys to chase balls and make weak contact. It's going to be there. But yeah, you're going to have games like that. I'm not sure there's any way around that at all.
I saw something today on social media. I wish I could find it again, and I can't. But it was expected slug versus slugging percentage, and there's a 23-point differential so far this year in terms of expected slug, where slugging percentage across Major League Baseball is 23 points lower than expected slug, and that is the highest number through June in a long time. Does that go to what you were just talking about, that even in an era now where you can't have the overshift, that these teams are really, really good at just knowing where to position defenders?
Yeah, I mean, and there's a I don't want to say an art to it, because it's a lot of math and numbers and advanced analytics that help you put you in those positions. But I think some of the good coaching staffs out there are kind of blending that with a little bit of the old gut, right? There'd be ball players say, okay, well, my pitchers, or there'd be managers say like, oh, my pitcher's tiring a little bit, so this guy who may not have been able to get around on his fastball in the second inning, maybe in the sixth inning, is going to try to see shade guys over. And I think there's at least an awareness that you can blend those things. You don't have to go fully by the numbers. And but yeah, I think there's so much more information out there. You can, these teams have the tools to know where a guy is going to hit a slider that is, 1 mile an hour slower than a normal slider from this pitcher, depending on where it is. They know where the ball is likely to go off the bat, right? And so you do the best you can with that information you have. But again, you have to have the type of defenders who can do something with it, with being in the right spot. And for the most part, the Cardinals have those guys all over the ballpark.
Yeah, from a margin of error standpoint, in that inning yesterday, 2 of the ground balls literally were just, inches, centimeters out of the reach of a diving Mason Wynn. First off, I can't remember an inning where there were 2 ground balls that were just out of the reach of Wynn. And then the second side of that is, if Wynn is 1 step further over in his starting position for either of those, they don't score any runs in the inning. So, it just shows how thin the margin can be on everything that's going on in this game.
And that's why scouting departments and all of the folks in the front offices love swing and miss. They love guys who have arms that can get those swing and miss. That's why a guy like Helsley is so valuable in the bullpen and in the latter innings. That's why, even as Sonny Gray struggled at times, especially early in the year, that's why he's still their best pitcher. We talk about this on Sports Hub, when Joe Roderick and I would do the show on Fridays, and he'd be like, well, okay, well, if the season started now or the playoffs started now, who would be your number 1 starter? It's still Sonny Gray. Like, I don't care if he's had a bad outing. He's still the guy that is going to go out and get swing and miss. And you look at him, he's got, he's the only Cardinal starter averaging more than a strikeout per inning, and there's nobody else particularly close. Liberatore is in second place among those starters at 7.8, and Sonny Gray's almost at 10 at 9.9. He's still the guy, and that's why they love that. That's why guys who have swing and miss stuff will command more on the trade market. They'll command more in the free agent market, because it takes one of those elements out of the equation. And I'm not going to say it's luck, but it's kind of a luck element too. Like you said, just 1 step over a half step over and Wynn gets some of those. Of course, on the other hand, if he's a half step the other way, he's not even close. Right. We don't think about it. But, I think that's just, it's yet another way to illustrate how important the swing and miss is. And again, that's something that as a rotation, the Cardinals just don't have a lot of.
Cardinals are chasing the Cubs. Cubs are 38-22. I think most people thought that on paper the Cubs were the best team in the division when the season got started, but very few people saw them having the best record in the National League on June 4th. You've covered this game from a national perspective for a really, really long time. When you look at the Cubs, how legit do you think their record is?
Well, I will say this. And this is not, it's going to sound like a knock. It's not. The Cubs have done a really, really good job of beating the teams that they should beat, right? And I think that when you look at the teams they've played lately, going back to the middle of May, a series against Miami, followed by a series against the White Sox, followed by a series against Miami, since Cincinnati, and then the Rockies, Cincinnati again, and now the Nationals. And it's not exactly world beaters. And again, I'm not saying that as a bad thing, because in that stretch, the Cubs have gone 15-4. That's what good teams do. That's how you get into the playoffs. That's how you get home field advantage. You have to beat up on the teams that are not very good, because it may not feel like it when you look at a 162-game schedule compared to the NFL, where they play far fewer games and every game matters more. But if you are mediocre against the bad teams, you're probably not going to be where you want to be in the playoff picture. The Cubs have done a really, really good job of not just beating those teams, but beating up on those teams. I mean, in that stretch, they're 15-4 since May 11th, and they've outscored the other team 116-64. I mean, they're smoking these teams, but that's what you have to do, and am I going to say that the Cubs are that much better than the Cardinals or the Brewers? I mean, the Brewers have been playing better baseball lately too. And I think they're a team that, even as bad as they started, that's still a really good team and is going to factor into the equation. But the Cubs have done what they need to do. They've beat up on the teams that are not very good. And that's how you get into the postseason. And that is taking care of business against those types of teams. And they've done that.
Ryan Fagan, part of the team over at Sports Hub STL. He's covered baseball for a really, really long time, and we're sad he didn't get to watch baseball tonight, but he will again at some point in the near future. Ryan, thanks for the time as always. We'll catch up again real soon.
Always enjoy it. Thanks, Matt.
All right, very good. That's Ryan Fagan joining us here on the program. Appreciate him. Again, kind of a last notice sort of thing where we didn't know we learned that we were going to have a sports open line tonight at about 4:20, and then we went into the planning stages at that point to try to get everything put together. So appreciate all of our guests tonight with Joe Roderick, Jake Zivin, and Ryan Fagan all joining us, a couple Sports Hub STL guys in there. And they even mentioned they do a show together on Fridays talking all things Cardinals baseball. Glad that Ryan has Ryan's a fantastic baseball writer and has done it at the national level for a really long time, and great that he's able to be back part of it on a more common basis with the work he's doing over at Sports Hub STL. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me if you'd like, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or if you are watching on the video chat, you can just leave a comment and we'll respond to those as we are taking you until 8 o'clock tonight. And then the Gas House Gang with Tom Ackerman and Chris Ranji will be coming up after that. Don't go anywhere. You're locked to Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.
Start your day with an edge.
Total Information AM.
It's like breakfast for your brain. I wake up, I turn on the news.
I gotta listen 3 or 4 times every day.
Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman.
I like to wake up with the news.
Total Information AM.
It's where I get my news. Traffic conditions and potential weather that's coming.
If it's gonna rain, I want to know.
Total Information AM. Weekdays 5 to 9.
I like to turn it on and just get caught up.
Where I get my news. The news, weather, and traffic.
On the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Are moles tearing up your yard? Don't let these lawn invaders turn your beautiful property into a mess. Rottler Pest Solutions offers professional mole control services to protect your lawn from damage. With year-round treatments, we'll keep your yard safe and looking great. And the best part, you don't even have to be home while we take care of the problem. Visit Rottler.com today to schedule your free inspection. At Rottler, we know St. Louis pests because we know St. Louis best.
We started Neovitin because we wanted to create a multivitamin for ourselves.
That's why we focus on quality ingredients and formulas with our multivitamins. Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Cash for Clunkers is back. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards a new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old entry door too. It's Cash for Clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free, in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
Ouch! Check from behind. Man, that's gotta hurt. I'd hire Morgan & Morgan if I were them. What? Yeah, Dan, America's largest injury law firm. They serve up justice, ice, cold, law. Know what I mean? I guess. Their gloves come off when they fight for you. Okay. I'm talking a settlement slapshot. Shouldn't we be talking about the game? Yeah, Dan, Morgan & Morgan.
Proud partner of the St. Louis Blues. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Do you like the word thorough? It's a good word, thorough. It means complete, accurate, detailed. Well, when you go to Ophthalmology Associates, you will get a thorough eye examination. The technology is incredible. It's all up to date, the very latest. And Doctors Bertie, Malhotra, Brusati, and Royer and their staff will make your visit very personal. That's because they believe every patient is unique. Ophthalmology Associates takes all the research and technology and their personal knowledge and expertise and tailor it into an eye care plan that is as unique as you are. Services include everything from expert treatment of cataracts and retinas to comprehensive eye exams for you and the kids, and a full-service optical shop with a ton of frames to choose from. Ophthalmology Associates, 3 St. Louis area locations. Visit youridoc.com or call 314-966-5000.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. For over 30 years, St. Louis and St. Charles families have trusted Suntrup Buick GMC. As a proud family-owned dealership, we offer more than just great deals. We offer peace of mind. At Suntrup Buick GMC, you'll always find a huge selection of inventory to choose from, unmatched customer service, and every vehicle comes with our exclusive lifetime powertrain protection program. Visit in store or online at suntrupbuickgmc.com. Save more at Suntrup Buick GMC.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Cards manager Ollie Marmol joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Rolling on with the Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. Have you for another 20 or so minutes. Take you to 8 o'clock tonight. And then we've got our Gas House Gang replay with Tom Ackerman and Chris Ranji. That's going to take place this evening from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Talking all things Cardinals baseball. Again, if you want to chime in, you can do so by calling or texting 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900, tweeting at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air, or leaving a video message. Eddie sent in a question asking about tomorrow's doubleheader and whether or not we know who the extra player is going to be for tomorrow. We don't. They'll announce that coming up tomorrow. If I'm making the decision, and I'm not, but if I'm making the decision, I take the opportunity to get Ryan Fernandez back in here for a day, because I'm a big believer in Fernandez. I was also a big believer in he needed to get to AAA based off the way he was pitching earlier this year. Like, you had to get him fixed. But we saw last year from Fernandez how good he can be and how impactful he can be as he worked his way into more high leverage spots last year. And he has a live arm. So with the way it works is when you bring the guy up for the doubleheader, the extra guy for the doubleheader, there's not the rule that goes along with it that when they return to AAA the next day that they have to stay down at AAA for 10 days. So I think tomorrow is a fantastic opportunity to get Fernandez up and take a look at him. Make sure to get him in one of those games and see how he looks. This is what he's done at Memphis recently. He last pitched, was it yesterday? He last pitched yesterday. Yesterday, he went 2 innings, gave up 1 hit with 3 strikeouts. Before that, on May 30th, he went an inning and 2/3, no hits, 3 strikeouts. Before that, May 25th, went 2 innings, no hits, 2 strikeouts. Before that, inning and a third on May 23rd, no hits, 3 strikeouts. So 3 of the 4 outs were strikeouts. He has given up 1 total run over the course of his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 outings. Yeah, it's pretty good. Average against in the month of May was 190. No. 213, excuse me. Strikeout to walk ratio was 21-10. Whip was a little high, but not terrible. So that's what I would do because he still profiles to be a very big part of this bullpen this year. So I think tomorrow is a fantastic opportunity to take a look at Ryan Fernandez and see what he's going to do. All right, let's give Tate has given us a call. Tate, you are on Sports Open Line. Hey.
Hi, yes, Matt. I just wanted to say I hope the Cardinals sweep the doubleheader tomorrow, even though there was no game tonight.
I hope so too. Appreciate the phone call, Tate. Yeah, I love that. Go sweep the doubleheader, win 2 out of 3. We were talking about this before this series even started, where there was a little bit more of an importance in winning some of these games against Kansas City because of what the schedule looks like after Kansas City leaves on this homestand, because after this, you've got the Dodgers coming in for 3. And you also have Toronto coming in for 3. So it's a 9-game homestand. And this is not me taking a shot at Kansas City. I think I think they're a good, not great club. But I would argue that between Kansas City, the Dodgers, and the Blue Jays, that Kansas City is the least of those 3. Now, Toronto's got a record at 31-29. Kansas City is 32-29. So Kansas City does have a slightly better record than Toronto, but I just think on paper, Toronto is a better team than Kansas City. So if you're not that they are going to lose the series to the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are one of the best teams in baseball. If you're setting yourself up to potentially maybe lose 2 of the 3 there, if you can win 2 of 3 against Kansas City, then you can go into that Toronto series, even Steven in the homestand and try to take 2 of 3 from Toronto. And then maybe at that point you can win the series. So have to see if they can do that and sweep the doubleheader coming up tomorrow. I had a question asking about pitching and why it's kind of gone downhill over the past 10 or so games, saying, is it mismanagement by Oliver Marmol? Is it pitchers tiring out? Is it something else? It's not mismanagement by Marmol. If anything, I think he is very good at kind of staying the course. And if you believe in your guys and you got talented guys, I mean, you think about where the bullpen was and then how it came back. There were moves in terms, again, going back to Ryan Fernandez, it was around the time that Fernandez got sent to AAA, but, basically roles stayed the same. Starting pitching has not been as effective. It has not gone as deep into games. That's had a bit of a domino effect when it comes to the bullpen. There was always going to be, without a doubt, and it's kind of happened fairly quickly, but there was always going to be a little bit of a regression from somebody like a Steven Matz and for somebody like a Kyle Leahy, because, bluntly, they were not going to be able to continue putting up the kind of numbers that they have been putting up. You are not going to see a sub 2 ERA from each of those guys. Now, it is obviously for both those guys, the numbers have jumped up a little bit quicker than you would have liked to have seen for sure. So when we look at what's going on right now, specifically with Matz and Leahy, because those are the two high leverage guys that have not been quite as good here recently. For Matz, he has given up runs in 3 of his last 4 appearances. He has given up 5 runs over his last 2 appearances. So the number he is, his ERA over his last 4 appearances, his ERA has gone from 1.74 to 2.60. 2.60 is still a really, really good ERA, but it has obviously jumped a lot in a short amount of time. Kind of the same story on Kyle Leahy. He also has given up runs in 3 of his last 4 appearances. One of those appearances against Arizona, he only got 1 out while he ended up getting, while he gave up 3 runs. And we've seen his ERA jump. He was at 1.24, and that ERA has jumped up to 2.56. So again, a really solid ERA at 2.56. But when it comes to Matz and Leahy, they each of them have seen a sizable percentage of their total runs all come in a short amount of time here. And that's actually going back. And look, I'm not trying to do yesterday's post-game show, but just in having some conversations that I had with people today on social media, continuing to really break down yesterday. And so many people were so upset about Palante being allowed to face Bobby Witt yesterday. And I had a lot of people say, look at Palante over his last 6 games. And I'm not going to redo this whole conversation because Kevin and I went deep on this during the Redbird Rush Hour on what we have seen from Palante recently. But there was a lot of argument towards using Palante's numbers from his last 6 games, where he's got a 5+ ERA, using that as a reason to not allow him to pitch to Witt yesterday, where at the same time, you wanted to see Steven Matz in there. And as good as Matz has been, he has also been trending in the wrong direction. Now, I'm not trying to spin things. I'm not trying to not be fair here. Matz's recent downturn, if you want to call it that, that's probably a little bit extreme, but you understand where I'm going with this. For Matz, it's not quite as long as it was with Palante, where his numbers have come back. But to me, it was a little bit silly that we're sitting here having people clamor for one guy to get taken out of the game, in part because of what his numbers have been recently, when they wanted somebody else to come in whose numbers recently have also not been fantastic. Let's go to Gerard, who's given us a call. Hey, Gerard, you're on Sports Open Line.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Love your show.
Thank you.
I mentioned to the screener guy that what I remember about this year, we've been pretty good in these doubleheaders, these rain delay doubleheaders. Because I remember we played the Mets. That this is going back 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and that's what started us turnaround. We lost 5 games in a row to them, a series there, and then any rate, and we had 2 games left with them in the series. We ain't beat them yet. I think we were 0-5.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had 2 games left with them. They're beating us again. Or we got the lead, 9th inning. They brought JoJo in, and he ain't been good yet, but it turned him around. And he froze that Alonso at the plate, like with the bases loaded, bottom of the 9th or top of the 9th, whatever it was. And he froze that Alonso, their best hitter. Then we won the next game, on that rain delay, of what I remember. And it just seems like since then they've been playing some ball. I know it gave JoJo some more confidence because our bullpen was terrible there for a little while. And let me say this. I love your analysis. If you'll comment on that, I appreciate it. But I love your analysis on Palante because I started to worry about him too. But I agree with you. I like that what you said about him today. He'll be fine. And then the other 2, you talked about Leahy and Matt.
Yeah.
I don't mind them giving up these runs here because they're games where their numbers aren't going to be in the ones. Their ERA aren't going to be in the ones. I mean, it's just going to happen. Sooner or later, they're going to give up some runs. And I'm okay with it right now. We end up getting blowed out anyway. So I don't mind them creeping up to 2.5 or whatever. But at any rate, I love your analysis. Tell me what you think about my last comment, and I'm always happy to listen to you, Matt Pauley. You do a great job.
Thanks, Gerard. Appreciate the phone call. Good call right there. Cardinals record, by the way, in doubleheaders this year, they have a 5-3 overall record. They've gone 2-1-1 in doubleheaders. So they've swept 2 doubleheaders. They've split 1, and they have been swept in 1 this year. But generally you split doubleheaders. So the fact that they've got 2 sweeps this year, that's a pretty good spot to be in. You know, this, I think Gerard's right when you really go back and see when the Cardinals' strong run began. That doubleheader sweep of the Mets, that was a big moment. They just had not been able to beat the Mets for whatever reason. Talk about meet the Mets, they couldn't beat the Mets, and they were able to have some success against them. And with that, they took 2 of 3 in the series, and then that's where it really took off. Now they split a series. To be fair, before that, they took 2 of 3 against Milwaukee, which was a really important series. And then they split a 4-gamer on the road against Cincinnati. That's totally fine. But that was the first time there in that run that they beat a really good team. They took 2 out of 3 from the Mets. And then just a week later, they were able to take 2 out of 3 against Philadelphia. They won a series against Arizona, sweeping them. They easily could have taken 2 out of 3 from Detroit, who had the best record in baseball. But yeah, that doubleheader sweep of the Mets, that is a big moment and a big part of this team being able to take steps forward. One more break. We'll come back. And if we got time for calls before we're done, we'll get some in there. I'm not sure if we will, but I'll take one more break. We'll wrap things up in just a moment here on KMOX.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With TrueHold, you can sell your home for its current value so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. TrueHold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since TrueHold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit TrueHold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com. Homes at Innsbruck. The new Sonnenhaus houses are available this year. The newest style of living, combining the modern exterior of a treehouse with cozy interior elements of a cottage into one convenient and comfortable residence that can transition from a vacation home to a permanent residence. And it's so close to St. Louis, just a half hour from Chesterfield, an hour from downtown. Innsbruck-resort.com.
Concerned about where your retirement is heading? Is it on track to meet your needs and goals? Are taxes and inflation a constant worry? Well, you can join Jerry Means for What Retirement Means to You, powered by Means Financial Group, and find out how their team can help guide you to that retirement you've always dreamed of. Tune into What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means, Saturdays at 3 on KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. More details at meansfinancialgroup.com.
It's been more than 60 years since St. Louis was hit by a tornado of the scale we're witnessing. The Salvation Army has been in St. Louis providing relief for over 160 years and responded immediately following the latest round of storms. How can you help? The Salvation Army needs monetary donations so that needs can be addressed immediately. And as we look to long-term recovery, 100% of donations go directly to storm survivors. Donate at salarmy.us/mid-disaster or call 1-800-SAL-ARMY.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are joined by Dr. Albert Kim.
We're using not only molecules, but also machines to confront brain tumors. We have things like laser, which sounds a little science fiction, but lasers can be used to kill tumors. And we can use non-invasive surgeries. It's called focused ultrasound.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
You might know Graybar for cable and connectivity, but there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting. Or maybe our logistics specialist, who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Just a couple minutes left here in this edition of the program. If you're just now joining us and you're trying to figure out why in the world you're not listening to Cardinals baseball, well, that's because tonight's game has been rained out, and it's going to be made up as a doubleheader tomorrow. The schedule for tomorrow, Game 1 is at 12:45. That means our pregame coverage will begin tomorrow morning at 11:50, and then the second game is going to be at the regularly scheduled time of 6:45 with a 5:50 broadcast here on KMOX. For those of you who had tickets to one of these two games, if you had tickets for the second game tomorrow, what has turned into the second game was originally the only game. Well, that ticket remains the same for that game. If you had tickets for today's game, then you're able to get into the early game tomorrow at 12:45 Central Time. So I hope all the folks that made their way in from Kansas City have been able to enjoy an evening in St. Louis for sure, because there were a lot of Royals fans there. That was the debut of Jack Caglione, which was cool to see. But there were a lot of Royals fans. They certainly made a little bit of noise. I joke, and I say this somewhat facetiously, Cardinals fans have taken over Kauffman Stadium for years and years and years and years and years. Yesterday was one of the first or one of the only times where, not that they took over, but there was certainly a larger presence of Royals fans at Busch Stadium yesterday than there are for most Cardinals-Royals games that are played here in St. Louis. Eddie sent in a question on the video chat asking what are my thoughts on the pitcher that was signed yesterday, that is Tyler Matzik. Yeah, worth a flyer is probably what I would say on him. He's a guy who's been a little bit banged up here recently. He's had some good moments, but he is somebody who you look and see what he's going to be, and I think he's probably going to be somebody who's given a big league opportunity at some point in the relatively near future. That is it for this edition of a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. My name is Matt Pauley. Again, we've got Cardinals baseball coming up tomorrow. Thanks so much for being tuned in, and we will talk to you tomorrow here on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Zero Res. So summertime is finally here, which means warm weather's here, which means